let's get ready for that test. So on this page or on this video, there's going to be quite a few questions that are going to be in your test, and really all I can do is change the numbers. So we've got this style, and we know that in between the x and that bracket there is a times, and therefore everything in that bracket is going to be multiplied by what's out the front. So we end up with x times 1, we'll say that's just x, that's what it is, and x times negative x. So remember, always look in front. That's a positive x times a negative, so I put negative there. And what is x times x? Now we don't want to write x times x, that's just too much effort. We'll just say we know that's x squared. That's it, that's done. We move on to the next one, and we have to be very careful here because it's tempting to work out 3 take 2, but we can't do that because you know there's a times there in between the bracket, and according to order of operations we have to do the multiplying first. Now what I'd like you to do is, as you're watching this, you should have your pen and paper ready and stop the video. So don't look at me doing the solutions, you do it first, and then see if you're correct. And if you get stuck, then have a look or listen to what I'm saying. So with this one, we keep the 3. We're not fooling around with it, so it stays there. And now we multiply out here, so we're going minus 2. And remember, there's nothing in front of that x, which means it's positive. So what's a negative times a positive? Different sign means minus. And then 2 times x, it's just 2x. We do the next multiply. What's a negative times a positive? Again, different sign, it's a negative. And 2 times 4 is 8. Now you can't leave it like that because you have to gather your like terms. So we've got a 3 minus 8. So 3 take 8 is minus 5. And we've got the 2 minus 2x. Now, some people, most mathematicians, like to write your x's first. So you could write it as minus 2 minus 5x. But I won't be so fussy. If you write it like this, good job. Okay, let's try the next one. This is just a sneaky question because you've got 2 expansions in one. So the first sneaky little bit is this. So we're timesing everything in the bracket by negative 4. And here comes sneaky bit number 2, is that here with the minus, there's nothing there except there's technically a 1 there. So when we're timesing this bracket by minus 4, we have to times this bracket by negative 1. So here we go. Same deal, negative times a positive, we say as a negative. And what's 4 times 2x? So we times the big numbers together, 4 2s are 8, and the x sits there because it's 8 times x. We've now got a negative times a negative. So 2 negatives, same sign, we get positive. 4 times 3, 12. Okay, and now we keep going. Negative 1 times x is negative x. Okay, because remember, we're multiplying this out. And negative times a positive is a negative, and 1 times 1 is 1. We now have to gather our like terms. Start with my x's. I've got minus 8x, take another x. You can use your calculator if you want to, but minus 8, so I give you 8, I give you another 1. Very generous of me, I've given you 9. Then we do our normal numbers here. 12, any others? Here, take 1. So what's 12? Take 1. Positive 11. And that one's done. Okay, so those types of questions where we've got just a single thing in front of the bracket and you multiply through. Okay, now we move on to when we've got a bracket multiplied by another bracket. This is what we discussed in class, where everything in this, so x times multiplies everything in this bracket here. So we've got x times x, x times minus 2, and then we times everything by the 8. Now again, what you should do, pause the video, try and do it yourself. Check your answers on the worksheet, and if you get it right, just fast forward this, skip along. You shouldn't have to watch every single question. It's just here if you need help or if you don't know why you got something wrong. So if you're now coming back because you're checking, we did x times x is x squared. Again, look in front, that's a positive x. Positive x times a negative is a minus. And x times 2, or 2 times x, remember it's the same thing, gives you 2x. Now we times everything in the bracket by 8. It's a positive 8 because, again, we're looking in front. Positive times a positive is a positive, and 8 times x is 8x. Last bit, positive times a negative, so different sign, is a negative, and 8 2s are 16. Now we gather our like terms. We look at our x squared. Are there any other x squareds? None that I can see. So it's just that one x squared. Now we're looking at our x's. We've got a minus 2x and we've got a plus 8x. So minus 2 plus 8. You're allowed to reverse that, right? Minus 2 plus 8. If you remember your negatives, that's the same as 8 take 2. So that's positive 6. And we're dealing with x's, so we pop the x there. And last but not least, we've got our minus 16 there, so that just sits, that just sits as minus 16. Okay, on to the next one. There's a few other ones. I've just picked out random questions. You should be doing the other ones and checking your answers as you go. So again, if you need a nudge to get started with this, I would suggest you draw in your loops. Right, everything in this bracket here, the a take 9, is going to be multiplied by 2a, and then we're going to multiply by negative 3. Right? So you have a go at that, so stop the video, and then you can just fast forward and see if you got it right or not. So we've got 2a times a, so it's 2a, and a times a is a squared. Once again, look in front to the next one. It's a positive times a negative here, so it's minus. And 2a times 9, or 9 lots of 2a, which is 18, and we pop the a there. Underneath, negative times a positive. Remember, there's nothing in front, so that's a minus, and 3 times a is 3a. Last bit, negative times a negative, same sign, positive. And what are 3 9s? 9 times 3, 27. It's time to gather like terms. This is the only a squared anywhere here. So it's just 2a squared. And then, like all the others, our like terms are here because it's just got an a and an a. So they're like terms. What's minus 18? Take 3. You owe $18, then you owe another 3. So sadly, you owe 21 altogether. And then you've still got your plus 27. Hopefully you got that right. Okay? You need to keep practicing. The more you do, the better you will be. This will be a slightly harder question. This could be like a B type question because it's 2 of those earlier ones combined. So over here we can see that we've got a bracket times another bracket, so we're going to do our normal FOIL, right? Everything there multiplied, and then this one, everything in this bracket is just going to be multiplied by the 3. Do it a little bit at a time and it'll all be good. Okay, so once again, go ahead, do it yourself. So stop the video and then you can have a look if you get it right, or if you compare the answers and you got it wrong. So here we go. X times x, x squared. We should be doing this pretty quickly by now. X times 2, and everything's positive, so I get plus 2x. 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times 2 is 6. So that's that whole system there taken care of. Now we just do this bit, so it's positive 3 times x, so positive 3x, and positive 3 times negative 4, which is negative 12. It's gathering like terms time. I've only got that x squared there, the 1x squared. When it comes to our x's, I've got the plus 2x, I've got the plus 3, and I've got another plus 3 there. So we have to add all of those together. 2 plus 3 is 5, plus another 3. Last time we checked, that's 8. Okay, and now we also add our, get another colour here, we want to check just the plain old numbers. Okay, so we've got the minus 12 and we've got the plus 6. So what is 6 take 12 minus 6? Done. Hopefully you got that one beautifully correct. Okay, it's what we call a perfect square. This should not pose any problems to you because squaring means what? Yep, timesing it by itself. So I would rewrite this as x plus 4 times x plus 4. And now it's just like the questions we did before. So it's x times x times 4, and then we go underneath. So here we go. Oops, I want that to be black. X times x squared. X times 4, 4x. Underneath, 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 4, 16. Gather like terms. Right, we should be old hat at this by now. Mark your work. Grooving along. Right, tips with this one. I would leave the x out the front and expand these brackets. So do your thing over here and pop your answer in the bracket. Once you've done that, then multiply through by your x. And the same thing, you do the same thing if instead of an x there, let's imagine it was 3 times 4 minus x, 4 plus x. You would multiply these out, pop your answer in here, then times through by the x. Okay? This is a special type of expansion, and if you recognize it, you can do the shortcut. If you don't, your FOIL system will work the same. So we go 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times plus x, that's a plus 4x. Now we've got minus times a positive is a minus, and x times 4 is 4x. Negative times a positive is a negative. X times x is x squared. Okay, and why we should recognize this, it's difference of two squares. Plus 4 take 4, they cancel, and you're just left with the 16 minus x squared. So you could have jumped straight to that if you had recognized that. If you hadn't, it's okay, you've got it. So if I was to tidy that up, as I said, what we're left with is that, and now we just multiply through. So x times 16, 16x, and x times minus x squared. Haven't come across this for a little while. What's x times another x squared? So remember, it's x times x squared is x times x. So that's x cubed. You might want to remember when we were timesing, doing indices, when you're timesing by the same base, you add the powers, and that's technically a 1 there. 1 plus 2 gives me the 3. However you want to look at it, you get the same answer. Okay. This one, I'm going to speed it up a little bit now. So remember the hint here is that this is technically a minus 1 out the front. So keep the minus 1 there. Squaring means timesing by itself. So expand that. Remember, you should have stopped the video by now and doing this yourself, and I'll just expand it now. So we do what's in the bracket, 3 times 3, we get 9. 3 times minus 5x is minus 15x. I get another minus 15x here. Negative times a negative is a plus. We got 25x squared. keeping the minus out the front there, tidy up. Minus 15 take 15 is minus 30x. Okay? And now we just times through by the minus. Minus 9. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times a positive is a negative. That's beautiful. Once again, just to be professional, let's finish off, and we like to have the x squared, the one with the highest power, out the front. So I would write it like this. If you didn't, as I said before, I'm not going to take off any marks or deduct, but try and start getting into that habit. I'm just going to finish this off now. This would be, well, I guess you could call this an A-type question. However, you'll be able to do it quite easily because it's the same process. We're saying everything in this bracket is going to be multiplied by everything in here. So we'll start by saying, let's just times everything by x. And you guessed it, once we've done that, we're going to times everything by 4. Why by 4? Here. If that was take 4, right? If that was a take, then we'd multiply everything by minus 4. So just read and we're all good. So here we go. What's x times x squared? We talked about that earlier. That's x cubed. X times x is x. We've got x times a negative 7, so it's a minus 7x. Now that's that bit done. Now we times through by the 4. 4 times x squared, 4x squared. 4 times x is 4x. Positive times a negative is a negative. 4 sevens, 28. Okay, gather our like terms. We've got the 1x cubed. Now, I'm not going to do the x's, I'm going to look for the x squareds. And I've missed one here. Look, x times x times x squared is x cubed. X times x, that should be a squared there. So hopefully you caught that on the video there. We've got x squared and we've got another 4x. So what's 1x squared plus another 4x squared? It's not x cubed, it's 5x squareds, right? 1x squared plus another 4x squared, 5x squareds. Then we've got minus 7x plus 4x. So minus 7 plus 4. Use your calculator if you need to, but that's going to be minus 3, right? You owe $7, pay off 4, still owe $3. And then you've got the minus 28. Right? So hopefully you'll go through, practice as many of those problems as you can here. Oops, there it is. Right, you have to practice. The answers are underneath, but practice is going to make perfect. Okay, at least 1, 2, 3. You could try the 4. Some of those are a little bit harder, but you can do it. With D, right, maybe leave the x plus 3 out the front, expand this, and so then it becomes a question just like A. Give it a go. If you're still stuck, I'll help you in class. Hopefully that's helped you out a bit.